It's Kelly and Bobby, and we're back with the emotional series today. And we're talking about a big one. It's happiness.
And happiness, the emotion of happiness, has been described as feeling pleasure, enjoyment around your circumstances and your environment. But happiness is something that I believe is somewhat elusive to many, even though it's around us everywhere.
Because there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, with what the meaning of happiness is and how do you actually experience happiness.
Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions around happiness is the feeling that we always have to be happy, that we have to be joyful and everything is perfect in our lives and we have this big smile on our face at all times. But that's not life and it's not true. We're going to experience adversity and challenges. And I think the thing we get to learn is how to reframe the bad to good.
Have you ever been around somebody that appeared on the external, everything was great in their world, and every time you met them, they had a smile on their face and everything was just perfect, and then bang, something happened in their life, and you're like, wow, I thought Joe or Mary they were just happy all the time. Well, again, like you said, honey, it's not reality because we are going to deal with things that we can't control in our life, and some of them are not pleasant, and they're very emotionally, like they can really knock you off your center.
Well, so I think
And
it's important when we can learn to reframe them. And I mean, finding the good and
mhm.
being able to give it a different meaning.
But I think also just having the understanding that you're not going to be happy all the time. But the quicker that we can get back, as you said, to center when things happen and give yourself a little grace that, hey, there might be a period that you just don't feel great. And you've got to work things through things and you're processing different emotions. But that your intent is to get back to center as quickly as you can.
And there's another misconception around happiness that we look at happiness as being the end game, like it's the end. It's really not. The fulfillment and the enjoyment and the feeling when we experience true happiness is when we are on the journey moving towards something.
The other thing is I want to talk about. I think it's important to get good at like being happy, and how do you do that? What do I mean by that? Like finding joy, finding happiness in the little things, like in a sunset or a latte in the morning, you know, that
Yeah.
I like to bring you, or just going for a walk in nature and noticing all of God's beauty, whatever it is. I think if we get really intentional about looking for things to feel good about, then we get more of that.
Well, it was interesting because research has shown that as we experience more empathy, more meaning in our lives, and also we go back to that famous word we talk about a lot, gratitude, people feel less sad and they move into an emotional feeling or state of happiness.
That's a great that's a great reminder. Gratitude. I know that recently I got back into gratitude in my morning routine by writing 5 things that I'm grateful for now, but also 5 things that I'm grateful for that are coming in the future. And that I don't know exactly how to explain what it does, but it sets off neural pathways from your brain to the rest of your body, and you immediately start to feel better.
Well, you move to your highest state.
Hmm.
But I want to take it a step further. What has made a difference in my practice with gratitude is I would write these things down, but it was just such an intellectual thing. And as I write them down now, I ask, why am I grateful for that? And that has really kind of just really elevated my experience with it and my fulfillment and my enjoyment around it.
And I think, on a bigger sense, there are so many things to be grateful for and to feel good about living in this country and all the wonderful things that we have opportunities here.
Hmm.
And so I think it's a redirection and it's a check in, but I think it starts in the moment you wake up. And one of the little things that I'm using right now is even before I get out of bed, I think of 3 things I'm grateful for, even before I throw the covers back and get up. And so you're training your mind to go there and look for those things. But then again, as things happen in your life that you can't control, I think it's just the understanding that, hey, it's okay to be on the sidelines maybe for a while. And but the sooner we can kind of get ourselves back up from that and just understand that it's not a goal, but it's just something that we're going to strive to do and experience that emotion as much as you possibly can.
I just think as we're, closing here with happiness, it's just important to remind ourselves that it's a practice and it's something that we can actually build in our lives. And it starts with, I think, those three little things that we talked about. And it was maybe showing empathy to others and yourself, but also using the practice of gratitude and really moving into something in your life that really gives you great meaning.
So let's just end it by saying, don't worry, be happy. All right. This was Kelly and Bobby on the Emotionally series, and we'll see you next time on Time for Forgiveness.